Gods took many forms: jackals, falcons, cats, crocodiles. But one deity stood apart, with no animal form, no human face, only light. This was Aten, the radiant sun disk. The first known mentions of Aten date back to the Middle Kingdom, around 2000 BCE. At that time, he wasn't worshipped as a distinct god, but rather as an aspect of Ra, the powerful sun god. Unlike other gods, Aten had no human body, no animal head. He was something different, pure energy. His rays stretched down like fingers, reaching out to touch the earth, offering life to those below. This made Aten truly unique among Egypt's deities. While most gods took on forms inspired by nature and animals, Aten remained formless, existing only as the sun itself. For centuries, Aten remained a minor presence in Egyptian religion, overshadowed by Ra and the many other gods. But that would all change with the arrival of one pharaoh, one man who would elevate Aten above all others and turn Egyptian tradition on its head. His name was Amenhotep, and he dared to worship only one god. Amenhotep IV, otherwise known as Akhenaten, meaning effective for Aten, was not just a name change. It was a declaration of faith and a challenge to Egypt's powerful religious elite. For generations, the most powerful god in Egypt was Amun, whose temples controlled vast wealth and influence. But in the 5th year of his reign, Akhenaten did the unthinkable. He rejected Amun and the entire pantheon of Egyptian gods. Instead, he proclaimed that Aten, the radiant sun disk, was the one and only god. It was a radical shift in Egyptian belief. Never before had a pharaoh denied the existence of other gods. Never before had Egypt seen monotheism. This move infuriated the powerful priesthood of Amun, who had controlled Egypt's religious and economic power for centuries. By rejecting their god, Akhenaten wasn't just challenging tradition, he was dismantling a political empire. Akhenaten wanted more than just religious change. He needed a new capital, one free from Amun's influence. So, he ordered the construction of Akhetaten, Horizon of Aten, a city built entirely for the glory of his god. Unlike the dark enclosed temples of Amun, the temples of Aten were open to the sky, allowing the sun's rays to reach worshippers directly. There were no statues of gods, only inscriptions of Aten's light touching the royal family and the people. For nearly 2 decades, Pharaoh Akhenaten ruled under the light of Aten, but his vision of a monotheistic Egypt came at a heavy price. While he devoted himself to religious reforms, the empire itself began to crumble. Inside Egypt, resentment was boiling over. The people had worshipped their gods for centuries: Amun, Ra, Osiris, Isis. Now, their temples were closed, their gods erased from history. The priests of Amun, once the most powerful religious figures in Egypt, had been stripped of their influence. But they were waiting for the right moment to strike back. In the shadows, the priests of Amun conspired. They saw Akhenaten's religious revolution as blasphemy, and more importantly, as a threat to their power. As famine, economic hardship, and military failures grew, more Egyptians turned against the heretic pharaoh. By 1336 BCE, Akhenaten's reign was coming to an end. Weak, isolated, and surrounded by enemies, he died, though the exact cause of his death remains unknown. Was it illness, assassination, or had his god abandoned him? And with Akhenaten's death, so too began the death of Atenism. Akhenaten's son, a young boy named Tutankhaten, took the throne. But under pressure from the powerful Amun priesthood, he changed his name to Tutankhamun, restoring the worship of the old gods. The priests of Amun ensured that Akhenaten's legacy would be erased. His name was chiseled out of monuments. His statues were smashed. The city of Akhetaten was left to the sands of time.